Student loan wage garnishment is back. And right now, 12 million Americans are at risk of losing a chunk of their paycheck without ever stepping foot in a courtroom. If you've got a federal student loan and you're behind on payments, the government can legally call up your employer and tell them to hand over part of your check before it even hits your bank account. No lawsuit, no judge, just one letter in the mail and a 30-day countdown. Here's the part that should scare you a little. This exact thing already started once in January 2026, and then the government hit pause just days later, with no confirmed date for when it switches back on. So if you think you're in the clear because nothing's happened to you yet, I need you to keep watching, because that pause can lift at any moment, and when it does, it's going to move fast. I'm Vane, and in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to break down exactly who's getting hit, the exact dollar limits the government can legally take, and the 3 free ways to protect yourself before a single dollar leaves your paycheck. No lawyer needed, no accountant needed, just you, me, and the real numbers straight from the Department of Education and the Treasury. Let's get into it. So let's start with the basics, because a lot of people are confused about what's actually going on. Back during COVID, the government hit pause on student loan collections. If you defaulted, they couldn't touch your paycheck, your tax refund, or your Social Security check. That pause lasted almost 5 years. That pause ended at least for a few weeks. If you look right here at this NPR report from December 2025, it lays it out plain and simple. The Department of Education confirmed they were sending the very first wave of garnishment notices the week of January 7th, 2026 to about 1,000 borrowers to start. And here's the kicker. It says right there that notices were expected to increase on a monthly basis after that. At least, that was the plan before the pause I'm going to tell you about in a few minutes. That same article pulled data from a think tank called AEI, and it says clear as day. About 5.5 million borrowers are currently in default. Another 3.7 million are over 270 days late, and 2.7 million more are in early stage delinquency. Add that up, and you get roughly 12 million Americans either delinquent or in default. That's the 12 million at risk you saw on your screen in the thumbnail. That number is real, it's sourced, and it's not an exaggeration. That's more than 1 in every 4 people who has a federal student loan. So if you're sitting there thinking, this doesn't apply to me, I'm fine, hang on, because the rules for who counts as in default are looser than most people think, and I'll walk you through that next. Here's where people get tripped up. A lot of folks think you have to be massively behind, like years behind, before the government starts taking action. That's not true. Look right here at the official federal student aid page, straight from studentaid.gov. It says federal loans are considered delinquent the moment you miss one payment. But default, the part that actually triggers garnishment, kicks in after 270 days of missed payments. That's about 9 months, so do the math with me. If you stopped paying in, say October 2025, you'd hit that 270-day default mark right around July 2026. And the second you cross that line, this same page confirms the government can use what's called involuntary collections, meaning wage garnishment, where they take up to 15% of your paycheck, and something called Treasury offset, where they grab your tax refund or other federal benefits. This isn't a maybe. This is automatic once you cross that 270-day line, unless you take action. And here's a detail almost nobody mentions. If you log into your studentaid.gov account and you're in default, this page says you'll literally see a red warning box on your dashboard the moment you log in. So step 1 for you, right now pause this video for 10 seconds if you have to go check your studentaid.gov dashboard. If you see red, you need everything I'm about to tell you. Okay, let's talk dollars and cents, because this is where people start sweating. And rightfully so. Right here on your screen, this is straight from the actual federal regulation, Title 34 of the Code of Federal Regulations, Section 34.19. This is the literal law that governs garnishment, not a blog, not a guideline. It confirms the Department of Education can withhold up to 15% of your disposable pay. Right now, that math works out to $217.50 a week that they legally cannot touch, no matter how much you owe. This is federal law, the same wherever you live in this country. So if you're working a minimum wage job and barely scraping by, that $217.50 weekly minimum is your legal safety net. It's not a lot, I know that, but it's the law, and you need to know it exists. Now here's something that catches people off guard. Wage garnishment isn't the only tool the government has. Look at this. This is straight from the US Treasury's own official fact sheet on the Treasury Offset Program. It says right here, in black and white, a federal tax refund can be offset up to 100%. Not capped at 15% like your paycheck, your entire refund, gone. And that includes credits like the Earned Income Tax Credit and the Child Tax Credit. So if you were counting on that refund check to catch up on rent and you're in default, that money can be redirected straight toward your loan before it ever reaches your bank account. That's why I keep saying, don't wait until you get the letter. By the time the letter shows up, the clock is already ticking. Now here's the twist in this story I promised you earlier, and it actually matters for your timeline. This is the actual Department of Education press release, straight from ed.gov. It confirms that after sending out that first wave of notices in January 2026, the department officially hit pause on wage garnishment and the Treasury Offset Program starting January 16th, 2026. Why? It says right here, they paused collections to roll out new repayment reforms under the Working Families Tax Cuts Act, including a new repayment plan and an extra shot at loan rehabilitation. And as of right now, the department has not given a confirmed restart date. So here's what that actually means for you. If you're in default today, you're sitting in a window of breathing room. But that window isn't permanent, and the first wave already showed us how fast this can move once it's switched back on. Notices went out within days, and garnishment was set to follow within 30. Don't mistake a pause for a cancellation. This is exactly why proactive beats reactive. Use this pause to get ahead of it, not to ignore it. Now, the government can't just blindside you the moment it does switch back on. By law, they have to give you a heads up first. That same NPR article confirms it clearly. Borrowers receive a 30-day notice before wage garnishment actually starts. 30 days. That letter is not just a scary piece of mail to throw in a drawer. It's a 30-day countdown clock, and it's also your legal opportunity to fight back. Here's what most people don't know. Within those 30 days, you have the right to request a hearing. You can object on the grounds that garnishment would cause you financial hardship, and you can ask them to reduce the amount or even pause it altogether while they review your case. Look right here. This advocacy group statement from December 2025 confirms this exact right. Borrowers who receive a notice can request a hearing to object on hardship grounds and ask for the garnished amount to be reduced. This is a free process. You do not need to hire anyone to do this for you. So if that letter shows up in your mailbox, don't panic and don't ignore it either. Those are the two worst reactions. The right move is to act inside that 30-day window. All right, this is the part you actually came for. Let's talk about how to get out of default completely, for free, before garnishment becomes a possibility again, or even after that letter shows up. Option 1, loan rehabilitation. This means you sign a written agreement with the Department of Education and make 9 on-time payments over 10 months, based on what you can actually afford, sometimes as low as a small monthly amount if your income is low enough. Once you finish those 9 payments, your loan is officially out of default. Garnishment stops. Your credit report gets cleaned up. And here's an important detail to get exactly right. This is an official Department of Education update on the new law passed last year. And it confirms borrowers will eventually be able to rehabilitate a defaulted loan twice instead of once. But look closely at the date right here on the screen. This change takes effect July 1st, 2027, not right now. So if you're dealing with default today, you currently still get one shot at rehabilitation under the existing rule. But that second chance rule is locked into law and coming, so it's worth knowing it exists if you find yourself back here in default down the road. Option 2, loan consolidation. This means you roll your defaulted loans into one brand new direct consolidation loan, and you enroll in an income-driven repayment plan. This one's faster than rehabilitation. Sometimes it can pull you out of default in a matter of weeks instead of months. The trade-off is it can reset your progress if you were working towards something like public service loan forgiveness. So think that through. Option 3, pay it off in full. I know, easier said than done. But if you've got the means, paying the full balance plus interest in one lump sum immediately ends the default status. For most regular, everyday people living paycheck to paycheck, rehabilitation or consolidation through an income-driven plan is going to be your realistic move. Both of these are completely free to set up. You do not need to pay some third-party company to do this for you. And I want to be really direct with you here. There are scam companies out there charging people hundreds of dollars to do something you can do yourself for free by calling one number. Let's make this dead simple. Here's exactly what to do today in order. First, go to studentaid.gov and log in. Check if you've got that red default warning on your dashboard. Second, if you do, call the default resolution group directly at 1-800-62-13115. This is the official government line. Tell them you want to set up rehabilitation or consolidation. Ask about income-driven repayment. Your payment could legitimately be very low if your income qualifies. Third, if you've already gotten a garnishment notice, you have 30 days to request a hearing. Don't sit on it. And honestly, the single most overlooked step, update your mailing address and email with both your loan servicer and on studentaid.gov. A lot of borrowers miss these critical notices simply because the government has their old address on file. Don't let an outdated address be the reason you find out about garnishment after it's already started. Look, I know this stuff feels heavy, and if you're one of those 12 million people right now, I get why you might feel like a sitting duck. But here's what I want you to walk away with. This isn't something happening to you with no way out. The government has to give you notice. You have the right to a hearing, and there are 2 completely free programs that can pull you out of default and stop garnishment before it ever touches your paycheck again. The worst thing you can do right now is nothing, especially during this pause. The clock isn't running today, but it's not gone either. And pretending this is over is exactly how people get blindsided the second collections switch back on. If this helped you understand where you stand, hit subscribe, because the rules around these collections are still shifting through 2026, and I'll keep tracking every update for you right here. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.